Idea of products, because we've been blindsided by the one guy patsy, you know, the Saddam Hussein and the Castro over in Cuba. We've been suckered into thinking that a patsy is one guy. But these guys are smart, okay? They do focus groups. They study. They know exactly what you want. And they know that you don't trust one guy, but you'll trust a group of guys. So what they've been doing is installing transitional councils. Wow, I felt like George Bush Jr. for a minute. Transitional councils. The Syrian National Transitional Council. There is one. It is comprised of people that have been chosen by the Saudi Arabian government and the UN and the EU and the State Department under Hillary Clinton. And they are waiting to sit down as soon as Assad is completely removed. And these people have no intention of returning that country to its original glory. Look at Libya. Anybody remember Libya under Gaddafi? You've seen the pictures, I have. And then you see Libya now. And now they're doing these comparison shots in the Ukraine of Kiev before, Kiev after. And what they don't talk about is that there are factions already in there. And we're hearing snippets of it. We heard a snippet of a conversation that Victoria Nuland did not intend to go public, or so we're told. Remember, folks, this is marketing. And I should probably explain something at this point. A salesman, a public speaker, a well-trained celebrity or personality will only show weakness when it is advantageous to the pitch. If it's going to get you to buy, they'll cry. If it's going to get you to buy, they'll show you a picture of their dead child. Whatever it takes, they'll do it. And so we hear this information from Victoria Nuland, and we are angry. The U.S. has just admitted, inadvertently, quote unquote, that they are using diplomats, U.S. diplomats, to incite riots on behalf of the Ukrainian opposition. This is the IRI. This is how they do it. This is a much easier way to take over a country. And let me tell you about what's going on with the Ukraine. The Ukraine has a lot of natural gas and has a lot of petrol. And the Ukraine, which spills out into the Black Sea, has an area that is a major import-export area. It controls a lot of what goes in and out from Russia, from these pipelines, out to be exported for monetization. So if you're going to take over an area that really sticks it to Vladimir Putin, you're going to pick someplace like the Ukraine. We also saw last year, or maybe even 2012 now, the Boston bombing.
May I intervene here? How close is the Ukrainian border to, say, Syria?
Oh, this is much farther away.
Okay, so it's not like on the border of the Black Sea or something like that to allow I don't know, a disruption of the movement of Russian ships perhaps through the straits.
Well, see, this is an import-export of natural gas and petrol area. Syria is smack dab in the middle of a pipeline that is supposed to be built between Iraq, Iran, and Syria. It's called the Iraq-Iran-Syrian pipeline. And they are going to extract all of the natural gas from the fields in Iran, which it's plentiful, and they are going to push it through this pipeline out to the Mediterranean Sea and become a formidable supplier for European and Asian nations. Israel does not want that because they just discovered they have the Leviathan Basin, which is 200 years that they've guesstimated worth of natural gas. So they want to extract that and become the world's leader of export natural gas so that they can control all of our energy needs. Now, how can I say that? Well, in 2012, at a UN summit of climate change in Copenhagen, they decided that petrol is out. No more subsidies for oil companies. Petrol is out. Natural gas is cleaner, safer for the environment, safer for global climate change or whatever they're calling it. I wish they would just call it climate engineering and just be done with it and get over it, but they're not ready to come clean yet. So this is all about a switch. Now, who is still running on oil? Who is dependent on oil? OPEC and the countries that make up OPEC, like Saudi Arabia. The reason why I'm picking on Saudi Arabia is because they have been funding terrorist factions trained by the CIA in Chechnya for a very long time. The Ukraine is a new prize. If they've got to move to natural gas, and they're not going to get subsidies for oil anymore, then they need to control both commodities. Why both? Because if they control the supply of both, they control the demand of either. If they ever want to bring back petrol for some reason, change their mind, hey, like the Atkins diet, you know, the founder of the Atkins diet, who used to say meat and potatoes for years, and then all of a sudden carbohydrates and meat are bad and you got to do this, that, and the other. If one day it's natural gas, 2 weeks from now it's petrol, it doesn't matter. They've got control of the resources. That's what this is about. Okay, because if Bill Gates is standing at the World Economic Forum pitching his friends, asking for money, then it's not about money. It's about the representation behind the money, and that's power. You can't ever have enough power. Ask the people who are in power. It does something psychologically to their brain. It makes them all sparkly. And it takes a certain caliber, and I use that word lightly, of person to obtain that level of power. They genuinely think that they're doing the right thing because they think like a CEO. And we don't think like a CEO. So we don't understand when they speak how they could possibly, Bill Gates, for an example, let's pick on him again. Bill Gates will go into Pakistan and inoculate and be part of inoculation initiatives with Gavi that end up murdering 47,000 children. Not 4,700, 47,000 children. And he goes home and kisses his wife and his kids goodnight. And he thinks he did okay. Because to him, those people are taking up resources. And those resources are not being monetized correctly if they're being wasted on those people. So the less people there are, the more he has to monetize. That's how they're thinking. And it's sick. It's absolutely disgusting. I have 2 small children. It's sick. But that's how they think. And if we understand that, then we understand when they're pitching us. Because that's where they're coming from. You know,
it's like that old saying, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing humanity he didn't exist. I think the greatest thing that the greatest trick marketers ever pulled is convincing people that they're not being marketed to.
Exactly. An idea whose time has come. Okay? Yes, absolutely. An idea comes. If you think of something technically that statement is true. What you attach to it emotionally is your own business. But if it's advantageous for them, then you're a lifetime customer. If you look at the Snickers ad in the magazine and go and buy the Snickers, then you're a lifetime customer. If you watched or participated in any way in that debacle with Duck Dynasty, then you are still a customer. And you know what? It's okay. Because they're speaking to our base need, our base emotions, our need to survive, our want to be famous. Everybody can be famous now. You can get on a reality show. They've got them in all sorts of shapes and sizes and plot lines. And you too can have your 15 minutes of fame. And that makes you feel good because it's an accomplishment. You have done what these guys that you look up to do every single day. It's like you're part of their world now. Now you're hooked. Now you're going to pay attention to everything your favorite actor or actress or musician does. You're going to wear their clothes. If they put out a brand, you're going to buy it. You're going to do everything they say. If they tell you not to text and drive, not that it's not a bad thing, you should be paying attention to the road. But when Tim McGraw comes out and tells his audience not to text and drive, that's marketing. When we look at Miley Cyrus and we say, oh, God, and there's all this stuff going on around it, and there's all these swirling ideas of and theories and postulations about what's going on. Remember I said that they never show weakness unless it's advantageous to the pitch, to the sale? Nothing that we know about isn't something that they don't want us to know. Everything fits in. It's a puzzle piece. Everything marches toward a directed goal. If you step back and take your emotions out of it, you can see it step by step by step. Now, it's advantageous to some people to sensationalize what's going on in our world because it creates new markets, it creates new opportunities to earn money. And that's what these people are trying to do. They're trying to protect their lifestyle that they've become accustomed to. That in itself is not inherently wrong. How you get there is questionable. So when you look up at these celebrities and you do what they say and you regurgitate something that even it sounds so ridiculous. Let me give you another example of the pitch in media. I was listening to a gentleman who, and I won't mention his name, was speaking about the banker suicides. And Vinny, did you hear about these?
Actually, somebody sent me a text message to tell me about all of these, but I didn't see no articles or anything like that. Apparently, somebody committed suicide by shooting him half a dozen times in the head with a nail gun on one side of his head, and then half a dozen times on the other side of his head, and then it was ruled a suicide. You know,
yes,
you could think of more effective ways to kill yourself, and maybe if you're a qualified banker, you'd come up with something perhaps a little less, I don't know, obviously murder.
Yes, but it doesn't matter. It's sensational. It's an open-ended question. You can fill in the blank. A lot of people have filled in the blanks. And one person that I heard filling in the blanks, which I thought was very fascinating because I've seen this person speak a lot. You know, they have a television show and they have a radio show, and I had never heard them pitching the audience before. But then again, I wasn't aware of this information. So how could I? If they're constantly putting us in the spell of fight or flight, of rage, or telling us, you know, hey, it's okay, go ahead and have a beer, or, you know, whatever other drug you want. They're giving you permission to take a breather from all of the fight and flight and all of the scare tactics that they're using, giving you permission to just relax for a minute before they start scaring the crap out of you again. I'd never heard the pitch in media until I sat down and listened to this person. And so I started to hear it more and more. And it was amazing to me, but this was the kicker, okay? This gentleman says, regarding the suicides, that there is no correlation to this at all. There's no connection to it at all. However, there have been questionable suicides of bankers recently. Well, right off the bat, the guy is telling you He's making this up. This is his opinion because there's no correlation. There's no tying what he's about to say to what he's going to then explain to you as if it's an authoritative figure, as if he's speaking from a place of authority. And so he goes on to talk about how in news reports, the 4 to 5 bankers had passed away under questionable circumstances. And then there were these other reports which bumps the number up to 20. Well, there you go. Either it's tabloid journalism or it's not. Either it's true or it's not. You can't have it both ways. So there are credible reports that say only 4 to 5 bankers passed away. And then there are other reports which arbitrarily bump the number up to 20. By taking the incredible information and mixing it in with the evidentiary information, that lends credibility to the information that was not credible. Because in the mind of the listener, they attach the good information with the bad information in their mind. This is all happening in your mind because that's where you make your decisions. That's where the emotions flood your brain with all of the chemicals, and then you make a decision in your frontal lobe. The host of the show goes on to say that he has no idea if this is true, but he's racked his brain and he's come up with 2 options as to why the bankers killed themselves.